Here's a question, if you really think about it. Is it possible to be happy without being selfish? Some people would say yes, obviously. Some people would say happiness is the wrong aim. And we could debate all of that. But as I like to do, if you follow the thread on it, that's where I go, right? Follow the thread. What are the implications of being happy, being selfish? How are they interconnected? There's a part of me that believes that, there's 2 points that come to mind, but I think they're related. For you to be happy, you have to do something that makes you happy, whatever that might be. For some people, it's taking a trip somewhere. For some people, it's building a business. For some people, it's sitting in a cave meditating. For some people, it's just spending time at home with their family, whatever it is. You have to do something, or not do something, maybe, if you're just going to sit and do nothing. But there's trade-offs in that. Whatever that thing is you do that makes you happy, it means you're not doing something else. And I think for everybody in the world, there's an interconnectedness to the world that means there's somebody or something that you're not doing that you could have been doing that's offsetting this. So for me to be happy, right? Let's say I love doing jiu-jitsu, which I do. So for me to be happy, I have to go do jiu-jitsu. But the trade-off is when I go to jiu-jitsu, I can't be with my son or my wife or my friends or whatever else it is. I can't be working. So implicit in being happy and taking that action is I'm deciding not to do something else that perhaps would have benefited somebody else, right? Maybe I could have spent that time with my son and now I'm not doing that. Now somebody could say, well, you spend time with your son later. Okay, but you continue the same thing, right? Okay, when I do that with my son later, I'm choosing not to do something. So there's always this choice in it. Now that case, you could debate, right? Like, I don't know, man, I'm not buying it. I think you can be happy and not be selfish. But zoom out a little bit further. Look at the world. Think about all the shitty stuff that happens in the world every day, every minute of every day, honestly. People dying, kids dying of cancer, people being murdered, people being beaten, abused, raped, and you can go on, right? Obviously, people that are sick, suffering. For you to be happy, for me to be happy, in some ways, I have to ignore that. Now, that sounds harsh, and I get it, right? When I make these videos and when I have these thoughts in my head, I could totally be wrong, obviously. My thinking might not be the best, but I feel like I often censor myself or hear this voice of some other random person that's going to be like, no, but dude, you could still be happy and enjoy your life even with those things. You could take actions to try and help people that are suffering, but it's okay. There's a balance. There's a sweet spot. And maybe there is. Or maybe we just want there to be. Because it's hard. It's a hard sell for me to think about it. You know, I've talked about it before on the podcast, on this, very personally. My wife has multiple sclerosis, a pretty severe form of it, and she suffers every day, as again, a lot of people do. But for me, if I want to go to jiu-jitsu, or if I want to go hang out with my friends, or go watch football, or whatever it is that's going to be ooh, that's going to make me happy. That's going to make me feel good, right? That activity, all else equal, that makes me happy. That makes me feel good. But I know in the back of my mind, while I'm doing that thing, that my wife's suffering. Or, again, zoom out, somebody's dying, somebody's being raped, somebody's being abused. How can I be happy knowing that stuff's happening? And again, I'm not asking that in a virtue signaling way. I'm not asking that in a rhetorical way. I'm asking that in a very literal way. The only way I think I could still be happy if I'm sitting at the bar watching a football game with my friends, when all that stuff is going on in the world, is if I'm selfish to an extent. Now, does that mean I'm an asshole? Does that mean I'm a horrible person? Maybe, maybe not. But I think in terms of how we define selfishness, I think that checks. I think the idea that I could sit in that place and laugh and smile and be joyous because some guy caught a ball and ran it a certain distance, and right, and I'm having a drink with my friends and we're laughing about something we did in high school. If I can do all that with the knowledge that there's people out there really, really suffering, that's selfish. That's me deciding to say, I'd rather just focus on me. I'd rather not think about those people for right now. I'd rather pretend they don't exist. I'd rather not go do anything to try and help them in any form. I'm choosing to just do this because it makes me feel good and feel happy. Now, a lot of times this type of thread of thinking gets derailed because it makes people uncomfortable. They want to believe that's a false dichotomy, and maybe it is, and that you don't have to pick between the two. We want to believe, no, I can be happy. I can go spend time with friends or family. I can do things I enjoy, and I could still be a good person who's not selfish and cares about others and wants to help them. And I'm not saying we are all inherently bad people if we ever are happy. I think I'm just stating perhaps an inconvenient truth, which is when we are happy, it's because we're being selfish. If we were not, if we were truly selfless and we were thinking about others the same way we would think about ourselves, I don't think we'd ever be happy. I don't think I could ever be happy if I was thinking about the people that are suffering in the world and truly sympathizing, empathizing, whatever the right word is, with them. And I was letting it affect me the way arguably it should affect us, right? Really internalizing it. How could I be happy sitting at the bar watching a football game? I couldn't be. And I don't want to make the video too long, so I'll end on this, but maybe in a future video, the implication of that I think is really interesting. What's the implication of that if that's true? If it is, and I'll put it out there provocatively and more conclusively than I actually believe it, but it's a hypothesis or it's a thought. We can never be happy unless we're selfish. There's no act that brings us joy and happiness that is not a selfish act. And if we actually allowed ourselves to think about the pain and the suffering in the world as we should, we would never be happy again.